This is Anna.
This is Christina.
This is Tanya.
And you're listening to
Life,
Crime, and
Life,
Betrayal.
Crime, and Betrayal.
Life, Crime, and Betrayal.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Series 2, Episode 1. We have no idea where Anna's going to take us. We have no idea what stories are ahead, but we are super excited, right, Christina?
Super duper excited.
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Like a 20.
Oh, that does not sound like a 20.
It's been a rough day, folks.
All right, Anna, take it away.
All right, so this series, we are going to be taking a step back from Canada and journey on over to Italia.
The homeland.
Of all three of us. Well, Tanya partially.
I'm in like 18 different countries.
Yeah, no, I'm a mutt. Just 2. That's it. Next.
So we are going to be talking about the Vatican Girl. Familiar?
I love that story. Sorry, that was just way too much into the mic. But yes, I've heard the story, and the story's so controversial.
I know.
It is. Do you guys know a lot about it or just basic?
Like from a general standpoint, I have knowledge on some of the interesting stuff that's happened in the Vatican, like from a history major perspective. And I know a little bit about this case because I caught a little bit of the documentary on Netflix. But that's like as far as my knowledge goes on that one. So I'm excited.
So you only watched a little bit of
I
the
watched
Netflix?
it with you.
Yeah.
Probably.
How about you, Tanya?
So I don't know where I've heard the story from, but I know she was like a violinist, whatever. She was like
Famous there, no?
yeah. And then from one day to the next, I think she went to like music school in the Vatican. Dad couldn't find her. There's this whole conspiracy around her. And I'm excited to know where Anna's going to take this because this mind blows me because till this day, they can't find her.
It's a cold case?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. But it's going to mess you up. Mess you up? Ah! So
All right.
excited.
So I'm going to get started. Ready?
Born ready.
Aren't we all? No.
Not me.
So Emanuela Orlandi was born on 14th January 1968 in Rome and resided and lived in the Vatican City. She was the daughter of Ercole Orlandi and Maria Pezzano. She was one of 5 siblings. She had 3 sisters and 1 brother. And from everything I gathered, they were a very tight-knit family. She was a very talented musician, playing the flute, the piano, and was also part of the choir.
Sorry, I don't know what instrument that was. Say it again.
The buzzer. Where's the buzzer? You said you were going to get buzzer.
I know. We just started too.
The flute. We love the flute.
Listen, I was in grade 10 band. I don't remember that instrument.
So her family lived actually inside a building in the Vatican. And for those who may not know, the Vatican kind of runs like its own state or own country. And the Pope is legitimately veered like a king. It's a very secluded area. And we're talking about a population of a few hundred people back then when this crime took place.
What year did it take place?
When she went missing?
Yeah, like what year was the range here we're working with?
1983.
Yeah, because the Vatican's its own country. It's the smallest country in the world.
Yeah, it's like a street.
Yeah. So people live in the Vatican.
Yeah, there's a Canadian consulate in the Vatican. Like, it's nuts. Sorry. My bad. Continue.
So her family was very religious. Her father actually worked and was employed by the Vatican. They're so religious that the Orlandi family actually had served 7 popes in their lifetime when this had occurred.
So when sorry I'm interrupting, but when you're saying serve 7 popes, what does that mean? Like was he working in the office? Like, was he an altar boy? Well, obviously he wasn't like a minister of the church because he's married, but what did he do?
I think they're also talking about generations in the past,
Yeah,
right?
if you serve 7 popes and it's just not your family.
Yeah, because a pope
They
could
reign
be
for a
instated
while.
for, yeah.
But still, for you to serve a pope.
You want to know exactly like what they did?
Yeah, because you can't be a priest.
Maybe just like
I don't know, maybe he washed his feet or something. Okay, I get it. Sorry, I'm just too fixated on this job. But anyways,
wants to know
continue.
the details. I got new glasses. I can see everything now.
So, just before we proceed, because the Vatican is technically its own country and it runs its own way, please understand that there's a lot of things they get away with that nobody knows. So, keep that in mind as we keep going through the storyline because I think it becomes really important.
I almost hate to admit it because I am Catholic, but from a historical point of view, like I mentioned before, just knowing the original origins of the Vatican and all this shady stuff that, like from a historical perspective, of course, so that doesn't shock me. I
Dude,
feel like it should shock me, but it doesn't.
from a historical point of view, I was a long time ago in art history class. You know Padre Pio, the saint?
I went to his house in Italy
There is this huge controversy around him that the holes that he actually made was actually chemically induced.
because there's a thing that Padre Pio looked like Jesus, like there was a connection
Yeah.
there because of those holes.
Yeah, but there are receipts that tie him to buying chemicals to burn on his hands to be Jesus. But anyways, sorry, tangent, my bad, continue.
That's weird.
Right?
That's so weird.
Well, then I want to get a refund back because I went to his house in Italy when I was like 8 years old.
Okay, so Emanuela Orlandi disappeared on June 22nd, 1983, after a music lesson she was attending. She was rehearsing for the end of year school show, and her music school was located outside of the borders of the Vatican City. On that hot summer day, she was running late for practice and she had asked her brother Pietro for a ride. However, like older brothers do, he had said no, which he claims to later on, of course, regret that. It was confirmed that she did make it to her music lesson because Emanuela's sister had received a phone call from her between the hours of 5 and 7 p.m. And during this phone call, she told her sister that she was approached by a man who had offered her a small opportunity to sell cosmetics from the company Avon. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah,
I remember Avon. Fucking loved Avon.
I can't believe even back then it was a thing.
I was just thinking that.
Because
How long has Avon been like alive though?
because I did it.
You sold it?
I think so. Either when we were in elementary or before I could get a like an actual job.
I bought a few things off Avon.
Same.
Did you really?
I knew a bunch of people that sold it.
They were actually established in 1886 in New York.
18?
181886.
Makes sense.
Is it still running today?
Yeah. They have a website. They have a digital brochure now.
All right, so then keep that in mind. Christina, Manuela's sister, spoke to her between the hours of 5 and 7 p.m.
Christina, you just remember that, okay?
Just me, not you.
Just you, because I think I might be knowing something, but who knows?
Find out.
Well, we'll find out. Stay tuned.
So Emanuela was also supposed to meet her sister and Christina and some of their friends around 7 p.m. around Ponte Castel Sant'Angelo and the Palazzo Bridge, but she never showed up.
Buzzer, buzzer. Palazzo? It's Palazzo.
No, it's
Signor.
actually,
Signor.
it's
Gotta take away your
actually,
Italian citizenship.
it's actually Palazzaccio. I butchered it.
Palataccio?
Palazzaccio.
Well,
Are
whatever.
you Italian or
Manja cake.
just validating here?
Manja cake.
So of course, Emanuela doesn't show up. So when Christina, the sister, gets home, she's looking around the house, asks her parents, "Hey, did Emanuela come home?" Parents said no. By around 9:30 p.m. that night, that is when the family members start to panic because at this point it was past her curfew. So the mom, father, siblings, they all head outside and they start searching for her themselves with a picture of her in hand, just hoping that maybe somebody might have seen her. They also started contacting all the hospitals around to hope that maybe she was just injured and she was at a hospital. At this point, Emanuela's father, Ercole, goes to the police to file a report. But as you can guess, the police say it's too early. She's only been missing for a few hours. Come back the next day. So that is what they did. The following morning, the family went back to the police to report her missing. The family brought a picture with them to the police as well. And the mother had said when she handed over the picture of her daughter to the police, and this part made my mouth drop. Do you guys want to know what this idiot told her? They said, the police, well, she's not pretty, at least not pretty enough to be abducted.
That's like, I have no words.
It was on because I rewatched the Netflix series The Vatican while I was doing this research as well, and I did not remember that part. But for the mom to say that that's what they told her,
She's so pretty though. What the heck?
I think so too. She's so adorable.
Not even.
But
She's
that's
just
just like, regardless, like, who are you to judge that? And she's a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
God. I just
She's really pretty.
Very.
you know what? I'm gonna bite my tongue for now. Continue.
No, don't bite your tongue. Say it.
No, it's okay. Sick fox.
We're gonna have a logo, eh?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on a t-shirt. What are you talking about?
Okay, so at this point, Mario Obino, which was the captain of the Carabinieri in 1983, was assigned to this case.
Viewers, listeners, Cabinieri, translated to English, is police.
Pretty much. But the
And it
police,
just likes to be like Italian and like, oh, look at me.
I do. So he had stated in the initial investigation, he received information from a retired police officer as well as a traffic warden that they had witnessed a young girl matching Emanuela's description talking to a man. This man was described as somewhere between 35 to 40 years of age, 1.8 meters in height approximately, and he was driving a green, they think, BMW. So at this point, the police kind of think that this could possibly be the Avon man that Emanuela said was trying to employ her. Correct. And also keep in mind that at this point, there were also many teenage girls going missing in Rome. Some of them did return home pretty quickly. So I think that's probably why the police were also not taking it too serious. But the numbers were high, so it wasn't all that. So my guess is maybe human trafficking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was talking to my mom about this case too, and she thinks that there was a lot of that going around.
Yeah, that would make sense because why would you employ like a 16-year-old girl to start selling Avon?
I don't even know if she was 16.
She older? Oh my
No,
God.
she was younger. I think she was in her first year of high school, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why, because then the disguise of selling Avon would be a good way to lure her in. But
Correct. So this case gained mass media attention very quickly due to the fact at this point, she's a Vatican girl. So the Orlandi family were getting call after call after call with possible tips after they had put posters up of her and they had put their home phone number as the contact number.
what probably sucks is some of those tips probably aren't even like actual viable tips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did confirm on the Netflix series The Vatican Girl that they did receive a few phone calls that to them were deemed significant at the time.
Okay.
Again, keep in mind that there's so much shit and information that came out throughout the years that, at least for me, it's hard to always tell what's fact and what's fiction because I think some people also like to be part of the case when it's a big case. You know what I mean?
Just like have it say.
No, like insert themselves. Like, do you know how many people
yes,
say
yes.
I killed someone when they did fuck all just to say,
Yeah, just to be
Just to be
famous or
part of
whatever.
that
Yeah.
narrative.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So one of these callers that presented himself that they deemed significant, his name was Pierluigi.
Luigi. Sorry,
I had a feeling she was going to do that when I was writing this.
It's me, a Luigi.
Mine just went like the most Italian name they could have named this guy.
He said that him and his girlfriend were at the Campo di Fiore, which is actually somewhat near Emanuela's music school, where she was last known to be. Pierluigi said a girl approached them carrying a flute, which as we know, she played the flute, and was trying to sell products. However, this girl, according to Pierluigi, introduced herself as Barbara, not Emanuela. Of course, at this point, the family is automatically thinking that this is a good chance.
It's her.
It could be her because she plays the flute, the Avon products, so on and so forth. On June 26th, a few days after her disappearance, two men went to the Orlandi family's household and presented themselves as Secret Service agents. They said that
present yourself. So does that mean like they're lying?
that's what I'm saying. There's so much
Let her
shit.
finish the story. I want
No,
to
it's just her
know.
word of choice was iffy there.
It's okay. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
And I've been trained to think like this.
Fair.
That is true. She's yeah. So they presented themselves as Secret Service agents. They said that they needed to install a recording system that would record all calls moving forward.
That's it. Shut it down. It's them.
However, the family also said that, and it was weird that they said this on the Netflix series while they were explaining this, but they had said at that point they had no reason not to trust authorities, which leads me to believe that
Some shady stuff happened.
yes, correct. So they installed the recorder, and moving forward, all calls are recorded. So on June 28th, the family received another phone call. This phone caller presented himself as Mario.
Hey, Mario, Luigi.
For real, I thought about that too. I was like, Mario and Pierluigi cannot be more Italian.
It's Super Mario. You're thinking of that. I'm thinking of the do 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 do. Sorry.
But wait, like just back up for a second. None of this makes sense. Like, is this a common practice where the authorities come in and they install a recording device in your house? Like,
We
Yes.
cannot assume it is. It is on this side of the planet, but I do know Canada has privacy laws. But when you see like those documentaries on like Netflix or whatever,
Yeah.
like they just like insert a tape recorder, or I don't know how it's done now, but the previous true crimes that were dating back then, they would have a tape recorder and you would record all the phone calls, right? I don't know what the laws are in Italy, but I don't know if
I feel like my first answer would be like, no, you can't do that.
I just find it weird that at this early on in the case, it's Secret Service that does this. Secret Service is not police.
but what if Secret Service was the only police the Vatican had?
But that's what I'm saying because I think the Secret Service is involved because, I mean, I'm going to shed my opinion a little because the Vatican is involved. Do you understand? Or else you would just have a regular police. Like, I understand she was in the Vatican City. They lived in the Vatican City, but they still had to go to the police to say that she was missing. So why the Secret Service? To me, it could be because the Vatican is involved.
Does
in her
the
disappearance.
Secret Service belong to the Vatican?
I don't know if they're saying like the Italian Secret Service or
I'm thinking like American Secret Service.
right, but Secret Service for America is like government. Yeah, president. So I don't know.
I don't think it's the Secret Service. I think it's the Vatican's type of police. Because for them to go to the police to make the claim, they would have to step outside the Vatican and go to an Italian police officer. And obviously they couldn't do anything at the time because it's not even in their jurisdiction. Right?
Yeah. I would think that the Vatican has its own version of a police force, considering it's its own little sovereign state.
And because of it is and because it's a little sovereign state, I'm thinking it's obviously the Secret Service is going to be involved. Like, for example, the little towns that we have here, they don't have regional police. They go straight to the OPP.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
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 That's a good point actually. Okay, so this
I make a
Mario,
lot of them.
sorry,
I'm sorry, did
She
you just
does.
steal my line?
she's not just a pretty face.
Nope.
She's our little Mortish.
So Mario, when he does this call, his story is also very similar to Pierluigi's. So he says that he encounters a few girls this time selling products, and he said that there was one girl who had long dark hair or long brunette hair, but
matches
she
that.
introduced herself as Barbarella or Barbara. He also said that this young girl had said something along the lines of she was regretting that she was going to be missing her school performance because she was singing. So the family members said that that to them was very suspicious because her singing was not known to anybody. Usually she plays the flute or the piano. So this performance, I think that was supposed to be a surprise that she was singing. So in their mind, they conjure it as it has to be her, or it's a good likelihood of being Emanuela.
Well, my mind's not even thinking that. My mind's thinking that Mario and Luigi here are BFFs, and they've constructed some sort of story that matches. Because how would you not know that your daughter was gonna
You're
sing?
so fucking smart sometimes. I did not click that in when I was
Oh
watching,
no,
let me tell
wait,
you.
wait, 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 wait. Let me add to that or delete it, subtract it.
Don't speak to math like me, you're gonna lose it.
Mario and Luigi were in a piazza, right?
Pierluigi.
Okay, whatever. Pierre Luigi, okay? And Mario says that multiple girls came up to him selling a product, Avon. What if we're going back to Anna's child trafficking idea?
Yeah.
What if
They're the traffickers?
no, what if they were selling themselves as prostitutes? What if they were
Yes.
drugged?
Oh, so you're saying that once
At
she
this
was
point-
kidnapped, someone was forcing her
To do that.
to do that.
Well, yeah, if multiple girls come up to you, I'm sorry, but I'm not sitting at a mall and multiple people come up to me selling me Avon, right? So when they say they're selling a product, they're not making it specific because I think they were probably trying to solicit prostitutes.
So there's like, yeah.
And obviously, when you sleep with, like, when you're a sex worker, you don't use your real name.
Okay, so there's two
That's-
working
that's-
theories here. One where Mario and Luigi here are best friends. But with my theory, do you remember Bruce MacArthur when we did that episode and he got one step ahead of the police and he went to them and he said, okay, like I had an interaction with this person and he tried to get ahead of it.
Yeah, you're
I'm
veering them.
thinking Mario and Luigi here are trying to just diverge or get ahead of the story or create a theory and a story for the cops.
Both
Are
very
very
plausible
plausible,
because I didn't think of that, and I did not think of Tanya's either. Tanya's
I
is really
like
good.
Tanya's idea too because it definitely makes
It's
sense
very,
at this
very
point that
good.
they're already being sold.
I make good
So did
points.
her parents know that she was selling Avon?
Remember, so she comes out of her school and she calls her sister out of her music school that day, the day she goes missing, and says a man just approached her, offering her the job opportunity. So it's not like she was working there. She just said she was offered the position or offered an opportunity.
Okay, another working theory. Is there a possibility there was no Avon to begin with and she knew exactly what the guy wanted from her?
I don't know. I don't.
Probably not.
At
She's
least-
like 14 years old.
Yeah, I think there was foul play here for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, she was coerced into doing
Coerced into
something
it.
and then whoop.
I hope so because she's so tiny.
All right, so Sunday, July 3rd, 1983. So this is about 10 days after Manuela disappeared. And this was a Sunday, as I mentioned. Every Sunday, the Pope would visit the Vatican at St. Peter's Square. And guys, again, Pope is everything. So the crowd that it would draw every time the Pope
Massive.
appears it's massive.
Do you remember when we did it when we were in high school?
Yeah, I hated it.
It's crowded, it's massive.
So at the time, the acting Pope was John Paul II.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
No, he was.
Leo the something.
No. At this time, it was John Paul II.
Really?
Yeah, because didn't John Paul II die in like 2004?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I can't believe you remember that.
I remember everything.
So, can I fact check you? I just asked Google who the Pope was in 1884.
No, 1983.
Oh my dumbass! 1884 was when Avon. Oops, 1993. Never mind.
I was gonna say Pope Leo's ran like way before. before.
Sorry, my apologies. Ew. Pope John Paul. Sketchy man.
So he's here, the big crowd, everybody's cheering for him, everybody wants to hear him speak. And on this particular day, it was no different. From the balcony, microphone in hand, the Pope actually had heartfelt words to say about the disappearance of Orlandi. Maybe to many people, this seems normal. As a public figure, you're spreading words and inspiration to the family to express his concern. However, as depicted in some of the articles I read, the Netflix series that just came out a couple years ago, it created a lot of suspicions. And I think maybe it created a lot of suspicions in with the family when they were talking about it recently because they know a lot more stuff now. So in their mind they're kind of connecting the dots. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sick fucks.
Is the Pope drawing special attention to it because she lived in the Vatican? Because you said a bunch of girls went missing during this time.
Yeah,
Well, let
that's
her say what the Pope is gonna say.
So-
She was about to say it.
I'm going to say what he said. I'm going to try to say it in Italian and then I will translate.
Oh, speak the love language to me.
Drum roll, please.
So the Pope says, mi rivolgo a coloro I quali hanno la responsabilità di questo caso, which translates to, I'm talking to whomever is responsible for this case. So he then also goes to say that he wants her safe return to the family and so on and so forth. So the theories that started taking place was that the Vatican knew where she was, who abducted her, and that she was currently alive based on his speech and the words that he was using. But at this point, I think it's a reach. I think people are drawing that conclusion because they know so much more now in this day.
I was going to mention, like,
do you think?
why, if the Vatican was part of it, then why would he be like, oh, I'm talking to the person who did this, bring her back safe? It's like, do you really want to draw attention to your people? You get what I mean?
So you're saying it is suspicious?
I'm saying it's not suspicious,
Okay.
and I'm saying that if the Vatican had something to do with this, he wouldn't have addressed it, period. He would have been like, my condolences, I'm sorry, we'll find her soon, peace out. Not, oh, to who, like, pretty much threatening whoever is doing this to give her back kind of thing. Because he himself knows, and there are theories out there that the mafia does run the Vatican.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it's theories.
Well,
Historically speaking, it started that way with the Medici family.
yeah. And then the Crusaders came and collecting money, and that's why the church collects money, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm trying to get at is that if he knew what mafia organization had her, what sex trafficking organization had her, he wouldn't be drawing attention to himself in the Vatican.
So you think he had nothing to do with it?
At this moment, no.
Which is also could be true. Just because there's sus things going on in the Vatican doesn't mean every single member
Yeah.
knows.
But maybe in a non-evil way, he is simply just drawing attention to it because she did live there. And then on the opposite side of the coin, because she lived there, how can he not talk about it?
But
Yeah,
it's the
that's-
way he's addressing the situation is what I'm trying to get at. So the way he's doing it doesn't at this moment make me think that he knows or the Vatican's part of it because of how he's addressing it. Because if he had a slight inkling that they were part of it, he would have addressed this in a total different manner.
But Anna hinted that the family knows stuff now that makes him think it was
Yeah,
calculated.
because that information that I wrote was based on the Netflix series that recently came out, right? So at that point, there's a lot of information that the family has
Been like,
now,
yeah,
right?
like 20 years.
Whereas when the Pope originally said that, it was only 10 days. So what I'm saying is I think they're drawing that conclusion now because of all this other information that they have that, I'm going to be getting to. We're not there yet.
Gotcha.
Okay, so a couple days later, the Orlandi family receives another call that is a little suspicious from a man who spoke Italian. However, the family could tell that he was a foreigner based on his accent. And eventually, he introduced himself as the American. The American says that he has contact with the Vatican press counterparts, and he also declares to the Orlandi family that he is in contact with their missing daughter. To prove this, he plays a recording over the phone to the family of a girl speaking, and she just kind of repeats the same few phrases. She says something along the lines of, and I quote, National Boarding School Vittorio Emmanuel II, sorry, and that is as of next year, she would be in her third year of high school. Okay, so then I think maybe she was 15 when she disappeared.
Third year of high school would make you, yeah.
She was 14. So don't worry, you're getting your facts right.
I was right then, right?
Yeah.
So, again, the family does confirm that when they heard that recording, they were very, very, very certain that it was Emanuela, just by the way she was speaking and the tone of her voice.
I think they're just being hella delulu at this point and grasping onto any straws that they can so they could think that she's still alive.
Yeah,
If she's not.
right where I stand is 50-50. I don't know. There's just so many pieces to this that that's what I'm telling you. There's so many names, so many different conspiracy theories, so many, like, I don't know what is all truth and what is all not. So
I stand on the sex trafficking theory, though.
Yeah, so do I.
yeah, so does my mom.
Well, what theory do you stand on?
Mine is Vatican has something to do with it. And I think it has to do with money as well.
Ooh, but you know more details than we do, so continue the story.
So the American also told the Orlandi family that there have been two other people that have contacted recently the Orlandi family, and that these two people are part of the Americans group. As you can guess, those two people are Mario and Pierluigi. So it's kind of what Christina said.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Now it seems suspicious.
Correct. Then abruptly, the American says, we'll be in touch soon. Somebody's going to contact you, and he's gone. And in my head, I'm thinking, imagine just being the family at this point. You're getting these calls, and it's just like, I want to know where the fuck my daughter is or where my sister is.
Is it like ransom then? Like he says, I'll call back soon. So is it like, are they my new theory is they kidnap her because she lives in the Vatican. Maybe they think that they have an in with people and that there's money. We're going to kidnap her for a ransom.
Could be.
But the father didn't have a high position in the Vatican.
No, he didn't.
So if
Still
you
used
were
as leverage though.
if you were going to have a motive, go for somebody higher, closer to the Pope.
Yeah.
Not an administrator is what I've read. Not an administrator kind of position. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? So that theory could be a potential theory, but if you're going after money in the Pope, you're going for someone higher.
Bigger, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because they didn't, like, I wouldn't even know if we want to say they're fully comfortable, but they had a job within the Vatican, so.
Hey, if you could live on that strip of land, I'm pretty sure you're making good money.
So eventually, the American does contact the family again, and he gives the family as well as the police a deadline of July 20th. So
For what?
It's coming. So the American says that he's willing to kill Emanuela, but in order to avoid this, the authorities need to release Mehmet Ali Achka, who is currently incarcerated in Italy, in Italian prison. And Mehmet Ali Achka was known worldwide because he was the man who attempted to kill the Pope 2 years prior.
That guy.
They're not letting him go.
So the Pope was shot back in May of 1981. He was shot once in the arm and once in the chest. He did survive. So when Mehmet shot the Pope, I'm putting this little point in. It's not even relevant to the story, but I think it was just really kick-ass. So he shot the Pope. Everybody, there's all this commotion because, I mean, the Pope is shot. So he ends up escaping St. Peter's Square, and he was almost out, gone. You know who caught him? A fucking nun wrestled him to the ground.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, so did I.
That is awesome.
Yeah, very awesome.
She's like, don't mess with him.
So Mehmet Ali Achka, once captured, quickly identifies himself as a member of the Grey Wolves, which was a Turkish group, or is a Turkish group, that have taken responsibility for many terrorist attacks. So now you can imagine even more why Emanuela's case took the media by storm. Because not only is the Vatican involved, now you have conspiracy theories about possibly being involved with terrorism and a terrorist group and someone who shot the Pope. So it's just, it catches, it's newsworthy for the media.
I don't believe this. I don't believe it one single bit.
I just think that if your motive is to get someone released who shot the Pope, that you're not going to take Emanuela. She doesn't hold enough seniority value. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I don't believe it. Like, as soon as she said, oh, we want this person, I'm like, this is just to be famous and part of her story.
Yeah.
Because, what, 40 years later, we're still talking about them?
Yeah.
Their
it's
goal. Sorry.
Or it's a smokescreen.
Ooh, okay, continue. Oh, this is getting good.
So on July 5th, just 15 days before the deadline of the requested release of Mehmet Ali Achka, the American makes another phone call to the Orlandi family and tells them that they are also in communication with the Italian press and have directed the Italian press to a garbage can. And in this garbage can, there will be a package that will confirm Emanuela is actually in their possession. This, it gets really fucking weird. So as you can guess, they go to this garbage can, and in fact, there is a package in there. What they find are 3 items. There's a copy of Emanuela's music school ID card. They have a copy of a tuition payment and a copy of a written message from Emanuela. The written message in Italian just said a few simple words. It said, "With much affection, Emanuela Orlandi." And then, of course, like in the Netflix doc, they show the brother the writing, and they were like, when you received this note, did it look like her writing? And he said 100% it was his sister's writing. However, guys, hear me out. And I'm saying this because one of the journalists who just recently died was very invested in this story, and the shit that he uncovers and his theories, they make a lot of sense. So his name was Andrea Purgatori. So he says in this Netflix series, he's like, these items prove fuck all.
I was just thinking that.
Because they're all copies.
That's what I was just thinking.
Right? So he was like, all photocopies does not mean they have her. It means they just have maybe her backpack or one of her items. And inside had all these things. The Italian authorities were also questioning this package because in their mind, the note that Emanuela, quote unquote, left was nothing of concern. She wasn't pleading for help.
Yeah.
She wasn't saying, I love my mom, I miss you guys. Nothing like that. She didn't seem panicking.
Which makes me go back to my theory. She was drugged and sex trafficked. Because that sounds like, ooh, with much love. Like, it's like something you would give to someone at the end of your work kind of thing. Like, you get what I mean? Like a little keepsake.
No, it's a really valid point. I was talking to my mom a few days ago, and again, she was in Italy when all this happened. And she was saying that at that time, like I was saying, a lot of girls were missing, and a lot of them did return home, but some of them were confirmed to actually been trafficked. So I think you're onto something.
I have an inkling.
Maybe that's why the police says she wasn't pretty enough, because maybe he knew about the sex trafficking, and in his opinion, she wasn't a candidate for it.
She always comes up with these.
What the heck? Holy shit! Yeah.
Like, why would you even say that?
It's like what
Stupid
was
thing,
the Robert Picton? We're
Yeah.
going back to the whole corroboration with the like government and higher powers and stuff. Fuck, you're good. You're good.
I miss my calling. I should have been a detective.
Yeah.
You really should have
I
been.
do play detective whenever my students chat GPT stuff and I got to compare handwriting analysis. It's my field.
Okay, so 12 days before the July 20th deadline, the authorities bring Mamit Ali Ajka in for questioning.
Oh gosh.
And while he was being questioned, and also there's media coverage of, I guess, what do you call it, media personnel outside, when they encounter Ajka, he says the same thing. He says he has absolutely nothing to do with the disappearance of Emanuela, and his thoughts and prayers are with the family. So it kind of at that point, not fully because he could be lying, but it debunks this so-called American that's been calling, because if he's saying he has nothing to do with Emanuela's disappearance, then why do you want him to be freed? And then the story just gets even more weird, because during 1983, before Emanuela disappeared, Mamit Ali declares that he did not shoot the Pope for the Turkish group, the Grey Wolves, like he said prior, but he did it for the Bulgarians group known as KGB, which to many actually made more sense because the Pope was Polish and it was creating a lot of divide within the eastern side, so Moscow, Poland, so forth. At this point, the theory then becomes that the Soviet Union may have had a hand in trying to murder the Pope and now wanted Mehmet Ali Ajka to be released so they can silence him forever because he knows too much.
That sounds like a valuable theory.
Yeah, I agree.
But again, why take Emanuela? That's going back to your point. She doesn't
doesn't
have
hold
enough
enough-
clout.
yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So at this point, more and more, whatever the American is saying, this guy who's calling the American, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but even the Soviet theory makes no sense either.
No, correct. And I'm going to get to that, my little
Okay, I'm
baby. You're
sorry.
so smart.
I'm sorry.
But before I proceed, I just want to say, at this point, to be the family, like now all the attention's drawing away from the missing daughter. It's now going into
All these theories and
all these theories and all, like, the whole point is find this little girl and bring her
narrow it on
home.
her.
Okay, so as much as I would love to keep talking about bringing her home, I think this should be a two-parter, and I think we should stop it here.
I'm almost done. Not yet.
Okay,
No,
okay.
can't be stopped yet.
Okay, continue.
All right, so July 13th, 3 days before the deadline, the Orlandi family receives another call from the American. And he says
like
he's
no,
gonna.
he's actually American, by the way. Like it's like
I don't know. They said they could tell he wasn't Italian from his accent. So. But that's
Maybe
all they
he
said.
just used the pseudo-American. That way, again, like Anna keeps mentioning, it's a smokescreen. So if it was someone from a different country, they wouldn't pinpoint it exactly. So the American might be throwing them off.
I feel like that's so important because like speaking from experience, when you go to Italy and with you guys, you remember they call everyone American.
Well, yeah, the moment you speak English
That's it,
without a
you're-
British
yeah.
accent.
I'm just wondering if he was actually American or if he was.
Yeah, she has a good point, eh?
I just remember being like, I'm Canadian. There's a distinct difference here, please.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
remember we were told to wear Canadian flags on us? That way they wouldn't be aggressive towards us?
American, yeah.
That's true. In Europe, Canadian's not a thing. It's just American.
Everything's American.
Ooh, so maybe because he was speaking English with an Italian, like, wannabe accent, they just dubbed him the American.
Like
Wow.
there's no knowledge. Like I wouldn't be able to differentiate someone's accent. So I mean, they just call everyone American who's not even American.
Yeah, no,
so
that makes a lot of
is fine.
sense.
Yeah. It's a good point.
God, I
Again.
make so many of them. I'm not that
So-
narcissistic.
July 17th, 3 days before the deadline. Sorry, I know I just repeated that. He calls the Orlandi family again and says he's going to give them another proof to confirm Emanuela is with them. They direct them to another garbage can, and in that garbage can, there's another package. And inside the package, they find a tape. Now, remember, tape has two sides. So, on one side, it was just the American saying that in order to release Emanuela, they need Mamit Aliachka. The other side, though, is a woman moaning in pain. She's sort of, I don't know, she's making weird sounds. And then she just keeps repeating the same few phrases. Oh God, why does it hurt so much? Oh God, it hurts.
In Italian?
Yes.
Oddio.
And honestly, if you listen to it, you can. It's on the Netflix series, or I'm sure you can just find it online too. It's very eerie. Like
What do you mean?
just the
Sad?
way she sounds. I don't know. It gave me chills.
Well, that's going back to my theory. She was drugged this entire time.
Yes.
And that's probably a recording of her being forced into something that she didn't want to do.
Yeah. And then this gets a little weird for me too, because at this point, the deadline's quickly approaching, and the Vatican creates a confidential telephone line, and this has been confirmed, to the girls' captors for communication. So confidential. Nobody else can hear it, nobody else can know, but the Vatican's creating this. It's kind of weird to me.
So they know who the captors are.
That's what I mean. It's strange. It's strange. So the deadline passes, obviously nothing happens. And then July 24th, first in the morning, the American contacts a church and confirms that Emanuela is still alive, but they need a sign of good faith from the police since they never released Mamit Aliachka. They then said they'll wait a few hours, and if not, you can guess it, Emanuela is going to be killed. And once again, deadline comes and goes, and there's no sign of evidence or no body that could confirm that she is now dead. And if this is not strange enough, things become even more stranger for the Orlandi family because they get a second visit from the Italian Secret Service. And now basically the agents just come in and tell them, you know what, this case is getting too big, there's too much information. We don't think you should have control of the recorded phone lines anymore. So we're going to remove it, and we think it should go to a lawyer. And the Secret Service is like, we're going to take care of everything. You don't have to worry about the cost. Nothing.
The lawyer that was hired by the Vatican.
Yeah, that would have just not sat well with me.
That's correct. And his name is Gennaro Egidio.
Oh, he's
Okay.
generic, all right. Gennaro.
And let me tell you why I find this strange too. So, like Tanya said, the Vatican hires this lawyer, or they have something to do with this lawyer. This lawyer has no background in crime, kidnapping cases, terrorism, hostage situation. You know what he's in?
He's a divorce lawyer.
No, bankruptcy.
That's his lawyer background.
Stop.
Yeah, that's his main.
Yeah,
What's
that
the
makes no
word
sense.
I'm looking for? His specialty was bankruptcy.
Oh my god. Yo, now I'm starting to think that the Vatican has everything to do with
It's
this.
funny you say that because this is when my suspicions really grows that the Vatican has something to do with it. And then upon researching, especially more information that came out on this documentary, the investigative journalist I was talking about, Andrea Purgatori, made some really great points that furthered my suspicion. And let me tell you, man, did it fucking further it. So he said, number one, the American made contact with the Orlandi family, never once referred to himself as being involved with any terrorist groups or the Bulgarians. As we know, a lot of times for terrorist groups, when they do something, they put their stamp on it immediately,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? He also said, if you remember, the American confirmed that the two other people that called were part of his group. And from what we know, Mario and Pierluigi were both Italian. And the Italians did not really have any dealings with the Bulgarians, BGP group or whatever it's called.
KBG.
Yeah, or the Turkish group.
New theory.
All right.
This gains media attention, right? Pope says it out there.
Yes.
What if this terrorist group obviously doesn't have Emanuela, but says that they do to get what they want, which is, what's his name again? The shooter?
Oh, Mamit.
Yeah, so they see it, gained international attention, and then, because, yeah, it still doesn't piece together why they would take her. You want to take someone, you're going to take someone who's close to the Pope, who's up there in ranks, like Tanya mentioned. So this gets media attention, they put it out there, then they conduct their own story. We have Emanuela release Mahmoud.
So I'm going off of Anna's theory that this is all a smokescreen
Yeah.
because the Vatican is running the traffic ring.
Yeah. I mean,
I need to think that.
I'm almost done, and that'll start coming in. We have like a page left, but
I just think that whole thing is them monopolizing on this to get what they want, but they actually have nothing to do with
I
her.
honestly, well, going off of what the reporter says, I don't think that this has anything to do with a group. I think these are just paid people by the Vatican who need to veer the Orlandi family away from what is what is probably in the back of their heads. Because, like you said, your mom said that a bunch of women and a bunch of girls were disappearing at the time. It was a common thing. So obviously the Orlandi family was going to piece two and two together that their daughter might be part of this group of women that were trafficked. And I'm calling her a woman at this point because I'm pretty sure she's got her womanly features going on. She's gone through her puberty and someone saw her walking alone by herself
And took her.
and took her. Drugged her up and took her. And all of a sudden the Vatican now gives two shits. The Vatican doesn't give two shits. The Vatican was about to be discovered.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because us as Catholics, and I'm speaking just for like us three, I don't know if you could step in and you can say, okay, I don't believe that. But us three were brought up to hold the Pope to its highest standard, to his highest standard. It's us, the priest, the bishop, the archdiocese, whatever you want to call it, popes, and then God.
Yeah.
Right? So he needs to keep this figure, like the Vatican needs to put lipstick on a peg every time something's about to touch them because of the amount of corruption that they are part of. Do I believe that the Vatican is its own mafia? Absolutely.
I do too.
Because how do you keep afloat that big giant palace with very few donations? Look at the churches around us.
Oh, yeah.
All the Roman Catholic churches are the way that they are because of donations.
Yeah, now the Vatican can suffice with just tourism stuff alone for sure. That's it.
Yeah, but the Vatican, St. Peter's
Back in
was
the day, no, maybe not. Because historically speaking, the Vatican was built off indulgences. So what they would do, we're talking like when, yes,
the
there was
Crusaders.
speculation. Well,
Yeah.
the Medici family and the ones that followed, how it worked with building the Vatican was they sold something called indulgences. So it was like for whatever monetary thing they had back then. I can't remember the name at the moment. So let's say you
Lira?
paid $5. Lira was just Italy's. Let's say you paid $5. I'm going to give you an indulgence, signed, sealed, delivered from the Pope. And with this indulgence, we're going to guarantee you that you have entrance into heaven. Obviously, you can't guarantee that, not even from a Pope perspective. So what they were doing with all that money was it was being poured into the Vatican. So historically speaking, yes, I just don't know if I agree with you on the spot there that as it stands on its own, I think the Vatican can stand without donations.
So to go into the Vatican is free. To
Yeah.
go into the Sistine Chapel is like $20. Okay? What do you do with a measly, let's just say they make 20 grand a day. That thing,
When I went, it was like thousands, if not thousands of people on tour. They're going to disagree with you.
well, I don't think they make enough money in the year to withstand, to keep that thing afloat.
I don't know, this year's the Jubilee year.
I don't know. Your mic might be off, honey. I can't hear you. You can hear yourself? Okay, that's fine. But I can't hear you.
There's a Jubilee year. I think I disagree with you there. I think the Vatican can withhold. It's one of the most populated, visited tourist sites.
I agree, but I disagree.
Yeah, fair.
Because there has to be some sort of background money to pump that beast.
Yeah, but like I think in anything you do, there's always a front, and then there's what you're doing in the background.
Yeah, and they were about to discover the background, and how do you put, oh my goodness, this is happening, and the Pope together?
Yeah, I don't think that money is being used to support the Vatican. I think that money is being used to support people in the Vatican, not for.
Well, let's finish this part one.
Yeah, we probably have like 10 minutes left. So, Andrea Purgatori also has a source. Okay, so this source claims to be working, or he claims this source works for the Secret Service. So he met up with the Secret Service incognito, and the Secret Service agent basically told him that everything that's going on is pure bullshit. He claims that everything in verbatim is a smokescreen to cover up for dark secrets within the Vatican. And he also says that that tape where you can hear someone moaning, the investigators did a thorough investigation on that tape and they think it's just like a from a porn movie. Okay? So obviously this is furthering this journalist's suspicion because he's very much like he's leaning towards Vatican has something to do with it. So what does he do? He writes an article and he depicts some of the things he finds suspicious. He depicts that he thinks that Emanuela Orlandi has something to do with the Vatican, something to do with money. He wasn't 100, maybe he didn't have all the information, but he was pointing the fingers toward the Vatican, which of course the Vatican denied, denied, denied. But then a couple days later, after publishing this article, his editor, Andrea Purgatori's editor, basically tells him you're no longer on this case.
Oh my god.
Okay. So a few days later, after he's dropped, in my opinion, I think it could mean that he was on the right track. You're being
That's
dropped a few
100%.
days later. Vatican might have been like, hey, buddy,
Shut it down.
shut it down.
Wait, hold up. What's the background music?
I think that's the radio.
Oh, sorry. This is just getting so intense that I'm like,
He was weird.
Have our own ghost roaming around with us right
they're
now.
coming for us.
So after the end of 1983, there's no more phone calls from the American. Everything's
Oh,
done.
wow.
I don't want Mamoot no more.
Correct.
Suspicion
That disappeared.
beyond. Wow.
In 2004, Emanuela's father sadly dies.
Poor
However,
Hercules.
according to the family, his last few words is something along the lines which I find is important. He said, I was betrayed by those who I served. So I think, again, at this point, the family's leading towards the Vatican.
What if the father knew but couldn't say anything? Because
I don't think so.
why are that going to be your last words? No, it could be. Because if he says I was betrayed by those who I served, he again thought that the Pope was all high and mighty, finds out what happened to his daughter actually, and says, "Your daughter's like whatever." They give him the status of his daughter. Here's the conspiracy I'm about to. They give him the status of his daughter, and they say, "This is your daughter. This is where she is. Blah blah blah. You say anything and you and your family are murdered." Like they had to have had like an absolute threat because why would he say those last words?
Interesting.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I also think that it's been 20 years, and what's he have left to lose? He's already lost his daughter. He's lost 20 years of grieving for her. I think if he did have information, what's left to lose? Yell it to the stars.
I don't think he knew,
I don't think he knew either.
but in my opinion, I think he knew that they were involved.
Yeah.
And
And it breaks his heart that who he served his entire life around did that to him.
Oh no. I think he knew exactly who did it, when they did it, how they did it, and everything.
maybe he has suspicions.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't think at any that point he has anything left to lose. And to kill his entire family off is just adding fuel to the fire. You're going to confirm what everyone already thought.
Yeah, but if he were to spill it out to the whole world, his whole family's dead. You get what I mean?
Who's killing them though? The Vatican again?
Yeah.
But then that's going to just show that they did it to begin with.
No, but you can there are ways that these people do it to make it seem like an accident.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I don't think he knew.
I think
It's a theory.
You don't think he would have given that closure to his wife, to his family?
No. If my family, this is speaking from me being a parent, okay? If they told me what happened to my daughter and I was threatened that my life and my family's life would be in jeopardy, I would not risk
Yeah.
everybody else for her. But I think that he didn't spill the beans because he still holds them to the highest standard. Does that make sense? He was living in Delulu land, and he was like, you know what? I'm at peace with where I know where my daughter is. What they don't know won't kill them.
Well, good for him. He's able to hold his faith to that degree after.
It's not like it's a bad theory. I like my theories. I don't think he did,
Yeah.
but so keep in mind at this point the case is pretty cold. There hasn't really been many leads, and then in 2005, Pope John Paul II dies. So acting pope, who was acting at the time of her disappearance, is gone, and all of a sudden, tips start coming in again.
2004?
No, after Pope dies in 2005.
Okay.
Okay. So one of these tips, someone leaves a voicemail for a Italian reporter who was working for the TV station called Rai. I don't know if you guys know it.
Oh,
Yep.
we
My
know it.
no, watch it.
Yes, ma'am.
Je pose per te.
I love that show. Sorry.
So in summarization, in this message, a man can be heard saying that he is calling in regards to Emanuela Orlandi. And if you want answers to this case, you will need to investigate who is buried in the crypt of Sant Apollinari Basilica, which is coincidentally a church owned by the Vatican. So if anybody wants to hear this voicemail, you can go watch it on the series as well. So the Saint Apollinari Basilica is located like the center of Rome, and coincidentally enough, it's also right next door to the music school that Emanuela attended before she disappeared. The reporter goes to this basilica to find out who's buried at this crypt. And you want to know who it was?
Pope John Paul II.
No, it
No, they're
was.
buried underneath the Vatican in a crypt. All the popes are buried there.
So it was Enrico di Pedes, and at one time before he died, he was viewed as one of the most popular gangsters in Italy and was the boss of the Banda della Magliana. So basically, if you're buried in a church in a crypt by the Vatican, you either have done something for the Vatican or to pay to be buried there. We're talking like at right now from my research, you're looking at like I think it was like 400,000 or 500,000 USD. Okay, so keep that in mind. So now this female journalist is like, okay, so what does the Basilica, the Vatican, Enrico de Pedes, who's a gangster or mafia, or however you want to talk, and what does it have to do with Emanuela's disappearance? So she starts doing some research, and her investigation and research ends up finding a connection in the form of Enrico de Pedes's ex-lover, a lady named Sabrina Minardi, and she had some dark information about this case that totally brought it to a completely new direction than the terrorists that we were looking at for the first 20 years. And that's where we're going to pick up on the next episode. So
This is giving me chills, and this is not very lighthearted like I wanted it to be.
It's not. It is not. But
Makes me sad. Maybe because I'm Italian, maybe because I'm Catholic, and
Well, listeners, I'm going to interrupt you there, Anna, because we could go on a tangent for so long. Well, listeners, we usually end with a conclusion, but so far, because it's a part one, there's no conclusion. We have our own theories, and hopefully you might share some theories with us too. I don't know how to end this, but I guess have a good night, have a good morning.
yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I told my students today because I just taught it. We're gonna end off on a cliffhanger.
Hey,
correct. Love, love, love everyone.
See you later.
see you later.
Bye.